Next up at UFC Vegas 46, we have Dakota Bush versus Viacheslav Borshchev. I'm getting much better with these names. Go back a year and see how I was pronouncing names and compare it to now. Dakota Bush, 8-3 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off a decision loss to Austin Hubbard. Viacheslav Borshchev, 5-1 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off of a great Contender Series win. Dakota Bush, I mentioned he's coming off that loss to Austin Hubbard. That was a short notice fight, and it was his UFC debut, so the cards were stacked against him. But he looked decent in that fight. He's a solid striker. He moves well. He has well-timed shots and powerful low kicks. He's also a good grappler who, you know, if he uses takedowns and he gets there, he's got solid pressure and some good control on top. Dakota Bush, a well-rounded guy who had a tough draw in that UFC debut. Viacheslav Borshchev is a fantastic striker, a legitimate striker with a legitimate professional kickboxing career before he transitioned to MMA. He's got a great jab, solid power, fantastic kicks. And this is almost like a Rafael Fiziev situation where he's a fighter, but he's also the head striking coach. And in this case, he's the head striking coach at Team Alpha Male. So while Team Alpha Male is not known as a striking gym, two things. One, we've certainly seen improvements with the Team Alpha Male guys. In 2021, they all looked really well and they did well. And I know you guys have your Uriah Faber conspiracy theories, but Team Alpha Male looked pretty good on their feet in 2021. But more importantly, they are known for little man wrestling. They have lower weight classes. They're all nasty wrestlers. And for Borshchev to be amongst them day in and day out, I have to imagine that his wrestling is getting better, both offense and defense, and he's getting good wrestling looks every single day. And if you combine that with his legitimate credentialed kickboxing, he's a dangerous guy. I do think these odds are way off. I totally understand why Borshchev is the favorite, but to be an almost 2-1 favorite, when we haven't even really seen him tested, we haven't seen him fight a real wrestler or somebody that's going to, as well-rounded as Dakota Bush, or somebody who's going to try to take him down. We haven't seen that yet. So 2-1 seems like a stretch to me. We just don't know how his cardio is going to hold up if Dakota Bush is pushing that wrestling pace. We don't know what he'll do if he's taken down more than once. And I could see a fight where Dakota Bush weathers an early storm and then takes over with some grinding and some wrestling and just survives with, you know, Borshchev a little starry-eyed and exhausted in the later rounds. My pick is Viacheslav Borshchev. That is the pick. I do think these odds are crazy. I think it's much closer, and I have to factor the team in here. The pick is the pick because it's Team Alpha Male, and I have to imagine he's getting those wrestling looks. He's improving in the wrestling department, and he can defend Dakota Bush's takedowns. Because let's put it this way. If they're going to strike, Dakota Bush will be on the wrong side of most of those exchanges. Dakota's going to look to wrestle. And if Borshchev has an answer for the wrestling, then that's it. It's his fight, easy breezy. If he doesn't, then he's going to be embarrassed, taken down a bunch of times. And these odds are going to look even dumber than they look right now. Jakey boy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of agree that the odds are a little bit crazy. I would put this probably like a 1+120-ish for Dakota, because he is tough, man, and he is game. You saw that in that last fight against Austin, short notice. You couldn't even tell it was short notice until kind of the end. He faded a little bit, you know, for good reason. But I love Dakota Bush. I think for him to win, he does need to mix in the takedowns, because the striking of Viacheslav is unreal. To me, he looks like a 155 Piotr Jan is how good his striking looks to me. That high, tight boxing guard, and the way he comes out. You mentioned that jab. That jab is one of the stiffest jabs you're probably going to see in the UFC. I love his striking. I love his boxing, and he throws the kicks in there as well. If Dakota can get him down a few times, I think honestly that this might be a really good value on that +3.5. We'll have to see what it looks like, but I think that Dakota could get him down early and maybe control the first round, maybe tire after that, or you know, Viacheslav is able to defend a few takedowns once Dakota gets a little bit more tired. But you know, these odds are tighter than they should be, or I mean, they should be tighter than what they are. But I like Viacheslav in this just because I think his striking is a little bit crisp. I think Dakota's going to want to strike with him and show what he can do, and I think he's going to get eaten up with the jab, and then there's going to be a big KO punch cover the top at some point. So I'm Viacheslav on this, but I definitely agree. Dakota's he's got a chance in this fight for sure. I think, and my prediction, I think this is going to be Friday the night. I think the first round of this fight, there might be one fight that might be a little bit better, but I think the first round of this fight is going to be insane. Dakota's game, and so is Viacheslav. So I'm going Viacheslav, but it's close.
Yeah, I do think there's just too many questions. There's just way too many questions at this point in Vialeshev's career. Not that Dakota Bush has a ton of experience. It's not like the fight we just broke down before this, but we at least know he's well-rounded, where we just don't know how well-rounded Borshchev is at this point in his career. You mentioned a plus 3.5. For anybody watching that doesn't know what that is, a plus 3.5 bet is where you buy 3.5 points on the judge's scorecard. So the way the math works out is Dakota Bush, in this case, would just need to win a single round. He has to survive and win one round on his own, and then you bought a second round, so then you get paid out because he wins a decision as far as the bookies are concerned. You are only going to get that bet, whether you like it for this fight or any other fight where you think it's close and the odds are crazy. You're only going to get that at Bet Online. So go to wewantpicks.com/bets. We have 5 partners. Bet Online is the partner that has that plus 3.5 bet. I love it. We've cashed that many, many times before.
Minus 115.
In this fight. What?
Minus 115.
Yeah, I actually don't like it in this fight because I think Dakota Bush either grinds out a win or gets stopped. I don't see him surviving in a loss. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't like it. But if you guys do think he'll survive in a loss and can steal a third round or any one of the rounds, then that's a perfect bet.
And can I just say, I'm so glad the UFC's back, because I lost an ungodly amount of money betting on football in the last 4 weeks. So I need UFC back to get my bank account back.
Yeah, well, you did that with Monkey Knife Fight. You did well with UFC, and then you just lit it on fire when you did basketball lines. And that was it. And honestly, the reason, a little bit of a tangent, the reason there's money to be made on UFC is because it's a fist fight. There's 1 million variables. And people like us, who are a little sharper than the general public and sharper than the books, can find those spots because it's not football. It's not basketball. There's not 100 years of data that can just build a line for you. Anyway, I do not like – this is interesting because I don't really like Borshchev at $9,000. But with that being said, he could win by stoppage and be worth it. I just don't like him at $9,000 though. There's too many questions for that. Or do you think there's the stoppage?
Yeah, I would trust Dakota's toughness to not get stopped. So I probably wouldn't play the 9,000. I would trust Dakota.
9,000, you need a stoppage. Otherwise, it's just straight up not worth it. Dakota Bush, $7,200. That may absolutely be worth it. I'm not sure. I'll build my lineup. I'll see what happens. And then the Monkey Knife Fight strike line. It's a tricky one. I think it's either more or less more, because I do think it's somewhat of a war. 80 strikes is a lot for Borshchev. I think he'll get taken down. So it's probably less than 79 for him, but more than 47 for Dakota. What do you think?
It feels like if Dakota gets hit 80 times, one of those is eventually going to knock him out. But I do love his toughness. He's never been finished. So, yeah, I probably play the more is probably the safer play, honestly.
It could be. And those Monkey Knife Fight lines move with money, just like betting odds. So, a line like this, let's see what happens. And tomorrow we will do our line setting show with Chris Riley. Chris Riley is the one who literally sets those Monkey Knife Fight lines. So I do the show with him. We'll ask him about this one, and he'll let us know what the money's saying, and we can go from there. If you want your free $50, go to wewantpicks.com/bets, sign up, make a deposit, let me know. I will send you $50, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, literally however you want it.